All right, so today, let's really take a deep dive into something that, we all rely on, but we probably don't think about enough. And that is our joints. You sent in a great article from WebMD. It's called Tips to Keep Joints Healthy. And we're going to unpack the key takeaways and hopefully uncover some surprising insights along the way.
Yeah, I think it is fascinating how much we take our joints for granted until something goes wrong, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this article highlights the importance of staying active for joint health, but I think we can kind of dig a little deeper into the why behind that.
Yeah, for sure. I like how the article uses the phrase motion is lotion. It's
Yeah,
very catchy.
it is.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than that. What's really going on in there when we move?
So imagine your joints are like finely tuned machines, right? They need lubrication to function smoothly.
Okay.
And that's where the stuff called synovial fluid comes in. It's a thick liquid that cushions the joints and reduces friction.
Uh-huh.
And when we move, it circulates better, just like how oil keeps an engine running smoothly.
So it's not just about avoiding stiffness. It's about actually nourishing the joint itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And different types of movement provide different benefits.
Yeah.
For example, walking is great for overall joint health,
Mm-hmm.
but weight-bearing exercises, like strength training, actually help to strengthen the cartilage,
Okay.
which is that protective layer that covers the ends of your bones.
That makes sense. The article mentions a pretty startling statistic about weight and its impact on our knees.
Oh yes, the one about every pound lost taking 4 pounds of pressure off your knees.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is.
Like, I have to admit,
Yeah.
hearing that number definitely makes me think twice about that extra slice of pie.
Right.
So we got movement, but then the article also dives into exercise recommendations.
Yeah, it emphasizes low-impact activities like swimming, cycling, and walking,
Right.
which are gentle on the joints. But here's where it gets interesting. The article challenges the common belief that stretching before exercise is beneficial.
That caught my eye too. It actually recommends a light warm-up.
Yeah.
Like a brisk walk instead.
Exactly.
What's the reasoning behind that?
So think of your muscles like a rubber band.
Okay.
If you stretch it when it's cold, it's more likely to snap, right?
Oh, okay.
So warming up gradually increases blood flow to the muscles and joints,
Yeah.
making them more pliable and less susceptible to injury.
So instead of reaching for your toes first thing,
Right.
get the blood flowing with a gentle activity that mimics the movements you'll be doing during your workout.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've covered movement and exercise. What about the fuel we put into our bodies? The article mentions omega-3 fatty acids.
Ah, yes. The superheroes of the anti-inflammatory world.
Oh,
They're essential fatty acids, meaning we need to get them from our diet. And when it comes to joint health, omega-3s, specifically EPA and DHA, can be incredibly beneficial.
the article specifically calls out fatty fish like salmon and mackerel as good sources of omega-3s.
Right, and for good reason.
Hmm.
These fish are packed with EPA and DHA, which have been shown to reduce inflammation in the body, including in the joints.
Okay.
If you're not a fan of fish, though, fish oil supplements can be a good alternative.
So think of it as adding a protective layer to your joints by incorporating these foods into your diet.
Exactly.
Speaking of protection, the article also touches on the often overlooked importance of posture.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. It emphasizes the importance of standing and sitting up straight
Yeah.
to protect our joints from the neck all the way down to our knees. But how does good posture actually benefit our joints?
Okay. Well, imagine your spine is the foundation of a house, right?
Hmm.
If the foundation is crooked,
Right.
the entire structure is compromised.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, poor posture can lead to misalignment of the joints,
Okay.
putting uneven stress on them over time.
Got it.
It's like carrying a heavy backpack on one shoulder instead of distributing the weight evenly on both.
So good posture is not just about appearances, it's about ensuring our joints are properly aligned and supported. Okay. The article also stresses the importance of addressing joint injuries promptly.
That's crucial.
Hmm.
Untreated injuries can worsen over time and increase the risk of developing chronic conditions like osteoarthritis.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like a small crack in a windshield.
Yeah.
If you ignore it, it can spread and eventually compromise the entire windshield.
So it's not about being invincible.
Right.
It's about being proactive with our health and seeking timely care when needed.
Absolutely. Now, the article also mentions supplements like glucosamine and SAM
Okay.
as potential options for joint pain relief,
Yep.
and it strongly advises consulting with a doctor before trying them.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah, which is incredibly important.
Right.
Supplements can interact with certain medications or underlying health conditions.
Yeah.
Your doctor is your best resource for making informed decisions about whether supplements are right for you.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here: movement, exercise, nutrition, posture, injury prevention, and even supplements. It's clear that joint health is a multifaceted issue.
Yeah, and we haven't even touched on the fascinating connection between mental well-being and joint health.
That's right. That's something we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive. But before we move on to that, is there anything else from the article that stood out to you?
You know what I found particularly interesting is the emphasis on listening to your body.
Okay.
The article stresses the importance of paying attention to pain signals and not pushing through discomfort.
Yeah, that's such an important point.
It is.
We often ignore those subtle messages our bodies send us,
We do.
but they're there for a reason.
Exactly. It's about respecting our limits and understanding that pain is our body's way of telling us something is wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a sign of weakness to rest or modify our activity when needed.
It's more about being in tune with ourselves and taking care of our bodies for the long haul.
Precisely. And that brings us to a crucial point.
Okay.
Joint health is not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ongoing journey.
I love that analogy.
It's about making small, consistent choices that support our well-being over time.
It's not about quick fixes or miracle cures.
Right.
It's about creating sustainable habits that nourish our joints and keep them healthy for years to come.
Exactly.
But I think we've given our listener a lot to chew on for now.
Indeed. Perhaps while they're digesting all this information,
Yeah.
they could consider what's one small change they can make today to prioritize their joint health. We'll be back soon to delve into the mind-body connection and how our mental and emotional well-being impacts our joints.
Welcome back. We've been talking about all the physical things that impact our joints, but now it's time to get a little more abstract. I'm curious to explore this link between our mental state and joint health you mentioned.
Yeah, it's an area that's getting more attention from researchers, and rightfully so. For a long time, we've treated the mind and body as separate entities, but the reality is they're deeply interconnected.
Right.
What affects one affects the other.
So when we're stressed out, anxious, or even dealing with low-level chronic stress, that can actually show up in our joints.
Exactly. Think about what happens when you're stressed. Your muscles tense up, your heart rate increases, and your body releases hormones like cortisol.
Right.
And while cortisol is helpful in short bursts,
Mm-hmm.
chronically elevated levels can actually contribute to inflammation throughout the body,
Oh, wow.
and that includes the joints.
So it's not just that stress makes us feel worse overall, it can actually exacerbate underlying conditions like arthritis.
Precisely. It's like adding fuel to the fire.
Okay.
And it's not just stress either. Poor sleep, which is often linked to stress and anxiety, can also make it harder to manage pain and fatigue,
Yeah.
creating a vicious cycle.
It's amazing how these things all tie together. You start thinking about all the ways our mental and emotional state can impact our physical health.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Chronic pain, for example, can take a huge toll on mental health. Living with persistent joint pain can lead to feelings of frustration,
Right.
helplessness, and even depression. And those feelings can, in turn, make it harder to stick to those healthy habits that we discussed earlier,
Yeah.
like exercise and eating well.
So what can we do about it? Are there ways to address this mind-body connection and support both our mental and physical well-being when it comes to joint health?
Absolutely. There's a growing body of evidence supporting the use of mindfulness-based practices,
Okay.
like meditation and deep breathing exercises for stress reduction and pain management. These practices help calm the nervous system
Okay.
and reduce those stress hormones we talked about.
I've definitely found that even a few minutes of deep breathing can make a difference when I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed. It's like hitting the pause button on your mind and body.
Exactly. And then there's cognitive behavioral therapy, or CDT.
Okay.
It's a type of therapy that helps people identify and change negative thought patterns and behaviors that contribute to pain and distress.
Okay.
It equips you with coping mechanisms to manage pain and improve your overall quality of life.
So instead of letting pain control your life, CBT helps you take back control.
That's the goal. And let's not forget the importance of social connection.
Right.
Spending time with loved ones, joining support groups, or participating in activities you enjoy can provide a sense of purpose and belonging, which can be incredibly powerful when you're struggling with chronic pain or mental health challenges.
It's like having a cheer squad to support you on your journey.
Exactly. And if you're feeling overwhelmed or like you're not making progress,
Yeah.
don't hesitate to seek professional help.
Yeah,
There are many resources available,
that's true.
from therapists and pain specialists to support groups and online communities. You don't have to go through this alone.
That's such an important reminder. It's a sign of strength to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked about the mind-body connection, ways to manage stress and pain, and the importance of seeking support. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, is there anything else you think our listeners should keep in mind when it comes to this holistic approach to joint health?
I think it's important to remember that there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Yeah.
What works for one person may not work for another.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works best for you and your individual needs and preferences.
And being patient with yourself.
Absolutely.
It's a journey, not a race. Small, consistent changes over time can make a big difference in the long run. But speaking of finding what works, I'm curious to hear from our listener.
Yeah.
What are some unconventional or unexpected ways you incorporate movement into your daily life? We'll be back after a short break to hear those creative approaches to staying active.
Welcome back to our deep dive into joint health. We just finished exploring that fascinating link between our mental and physical well-being, and how they impact our joints.
Yeah, and I'm actually really eager to hear if our listener has discovered any creative ways to incorporate movement into their daily routine.
Yeah.
Sometimes those the most effective approaches are the ones that don't feel like a chore.
Absolutely. It's about finding those little pockets of opportunity to move our bodies in
Yeah.
enjoyable ways.
Right, exactly.
Think beyond the obvious. Maybe our listener takes a few minutes each hour to stretch or walk around their workspace.
Right.
Or perhaps they've even turned their commute into an active one by, biking or walking part of the way.
I've even heard of people who do calf raises while they're brushing their teeth or
Uh.
squats while they're waiting for the coffee to brew.
Oh, wow.
It's all about finding those little ways to sneak in movement throughout the day.
And those micro movements really do add up over time.
Mhm.
It's not about the intensity. It's about the consistency.
Yeah.
Even gentle movements like stretching or simply changing positions frequently can make a difference in, keeping your joints lubricated and preventing stiffness.
And it's about listening to your body.
Yeah.
If you're feeling tired or sore, take a break. There's no need to push yourself to the point of pain.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where movement becomes a form of self-care rather than a chore.
Well said. And as we wrap up this deep dive into joint health, I want to leave our listener with one final thought.
Okay.
We've focused a lot on the what and the how of taking care of our joints,
Right.
but I think it's equally important to reflect on the why.
Yeah.
Why does it matter to you to have healthy joints?
Yeah.
What activities bring you joy that you want to be able to do for years to come?
I love that. Connecting with your why can be incredibly motivating.
Yeah.
Whether it's, dancing with your grandkids, playing a sport you love, or simply being able to move through your day with ease and comfort.
Right.
Let that vision guide you.
It's about remembering that our joints are not just, mechanical structures. They're what allow us to experience the world, to connect with others, and to live life to the fullest.
Beautifully said.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the multifaceted world of joint health. We hope you've gleaned some valuable insights and practical tips to keep those joints happy and healthy for years to come.
Until next time, keep moving, keep exploring, and keep those questions coming.